Hello again. Today I'm going to go through another week of eBay sales, expeditions, and this week there was just a huge volume of sales on eBay, and it took me ages to even scroll through the last couple days. So, and it wasn't even just the new releases, it was old cards, new cards, high and low end, just everything getting sold, which is just fantastic to see for the hobby. I'd love to hear if anyone has seen a period of more activity than right now in the past, and I'd love to hear about it, because right now I think it's really kicking off, and yeah, I'm interested to see whether this is the peak of AFL card collecting so far. But the first interesting card I want to look at this week that caught my eye is a Jacob Kojitsuki card. Sorry, I've got a list this week because I don't want to edit anything, but it's a Jacob Kojitsuki draft pick signature. And this was interesting to me because it's just clearly a knee-jerk reaction. Like, he kicked 5 goals against the Crows, had an amazing game, Rising Star nomination, and all of a sudden his card's going for $100. I think the lesson to learn here is don't buy into the hype, and lots of the time you actually want to buy against the hype. So pretty much, if you buy when someone's playing well or has a breakout moment or game, then you're going to be pretty much buying at the peak, unless he goes on to just do this week on week and becomes a legend. But say his card's selling for 100 and Lance Franklin's selling for 200. I mean, yeah, lots of the time the hype actually overinflates cards past what they would be, even if the hype turned out to be true. So it's just something to keep an eye on, and also the reverse of it, because Dangerfield this season, obviously he's been rubbed out and he's been suspended, he's been injured as well. So I think the hype on Danger's gone down quite a bit, and people just jump on players like Petrarca straight away and try and replace, but they forget all the years of being a legend and how good he's been in the past. And I reckon Dangerfield's cards have already dropped maybe 10-20% over the past 4 weeks at the start of the season, and I can see them dropping a bit more. And this is actually a good opportunity to buy if you believe long term in a player's legacy. That's when you want to buy, when they're having a couple down weeks. So Jacob Kojitsuki's card, I wouldn't see this going up anytime soon. The vast majority of players who have a breakout game, Rising Star nomination, don't actually end up to do anything huge in their career, and he could either be like a role player or he could drop out of the system entirely. But obviously there's worse ways to spend $100 in footy cards, and you see that every week on eBay, so more power to you, really, if you're buying what you want. The next player I want to look at had 2 interesting sales for me this week is Brody Grundy. And the first one is this draft pick signature, which went for $120. This is from the main set. He also has a couple Future Force signatures from 2012, which was actually the first year of Future Force as well, which adds a bit of collectability. But there's not too much to say about this. I think it's a pretty good price, especially for a Collingwood player and a top Collingwood player at that. Grundy is similar to what I was saying about Danger before. He's a completely proven player. I think he's a top generational ruckman, but he's a bit up and down, and he hasn't always in the last couple of years played to his best, and that means people jump off him very quick, and they're quick to jump on, say, like a Max Gawn or even like a Luke Jackson coming through. So I think at $120 you can't really go wrong. The downside risk is very low, and I don't think it's got huge like skyrocket upside, but I think it will slowly grow until his end of the career, and he's still pretty young, so I think his legacy can only get better from here, unless he suffers a horrible injury or something, but we hope that doesn't happen. The next sale is actually part of a lot, and this is the Grundy Future Force card I was talking about. This is the less rare. I think it's about out of about 150, this one. And when I first saw this lot, I didn't see this card at all. So I think lots of Collingwood collectors actually would have missed this, because he doesn't quite look the same, and the photo's not very close up. So at $140 once again, I think this is a pretty good buy, especially the way Collingwood cards are going. I'm just going to flash up also a Collingwood card this week. Who was it? It was a Josh Dacos card, which sold for $180. And apparently I've heard afterwards that this sold high because it's like an error card. I'm definitely not into error cards myself, but still, between a Brody Grundy rookie card, rookie signature, and a Josh Dacos 2021 card, you got to take the Grundy every day. And if you can get it for this kind of price for a Collingwood player, I think it's a good deal. The next lot I want to look into is actually from the same seller. He had lots of different lots. He had Collingwood, Adelaide. I think he had a Hawthorn one. He had quite a few, and I actually don't mind selling in lots. I think it's a really good idea because lots of the time it allows the seller to get rid of cards that they usually wouldn't be able to sell quickly. So in this Adelaide lot, say the cards that grab your eye are maybe the Jake Lever and the Darcy Fogarty, but a card like a Brent Riley, it wouldn't jump off the shelves at the moment. But if you're a Crows fan, then you see Brent Riley and go, yeah, he was a really good clubman and he had a really nice, role-playing career for the club. So you'd still want it, but you wouldn't really go out of your way to buy it. So it's nice for the seller to be able to offload these cards, and nice for the collector to be able to get these cards at a bit of a bargain, reduced price. Because for $40, this sale I think is an absolute bargain. And the card that really caught my eye was the Jake Lever. Because in 2016, 2017, when I was really getting into this, Jake Lever was one of the most hyped players in the AFL. He was pretty much behind Alex Rance. He was pretty much the premier player, defender in the AFL. That's how hyped he was, especially in Adelaide. But that's what gave him that big contract at Melbourne. And since then, unfortunately, his career's gone down a lot. And that's, once again, why you have to watch out for the hype and steer towards more proven players when you're looking at collectability. But I think this card, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this card was going for about $100 or $150 back then, which is, when you look back, you go, wow, that's ridiculous. But for what people were saying about him, like a generational defender, next great defender in the game, and Adelaide at that point were looking like a force, which it really just all turned its head after 2017. But yeah, it's interesting to see this card because I really wanted it back in the day, and now you can get it for a hugely discounted price. The other card in that lot is the Darcy Fogarty, which he's a bit of a cult hero in Adelaide, and I'm surprised that this lot went for so low, including him as well, because although he hasn't proven himself yet, he has quite a lot of potential, and also he just has a bit of X factor about him, and I think the Crows fans really love him, so that was interesting. There was also another interesting Crows sale this week they'll put up is Ben Keys, and he's been playing really well for the Crows this season, and I actually didn't know he came from Brisbane previously, so I was a bit surprised to see this sale. It looks like he got drafted around 2015, so he's actually been in the league for quite a while. I had no idea, and I think lots of people actually wouldn't have this background into his career, and that's why this card only sold for $12. But as a Crows fan, Ben Keys and the Future Force cards, it's good because they don't have the previous team on them, and it doesn't show them in the Brisbane jumper, so it's good for a Crows collector if you want to keep it fully Crows. I think that's a bargain as well. The next one I want to look at, and this is a bit of a Australian rules football specific thing, I think, is the jumper number cards, and it's really cool that the Australian collecting community has their own thing. Like, of course, all around the world, jumper numbers fetch a bit more, but I'm going to show you this Isaac Heaney card. This is just a holo from Dominance, and it would usually go for about $5, but this jumper number one went for $75, so that's a 15 times multiplier. It's pretty unbelievable. I probably compare it to getting like a PSA 10 in basketball. It can multiply the price by 15 times, but a jumper number just by itself, doing that in Australian football, I think it's really cool. And although I wouldn't look at this specific card, buying this specific card for 15 times, I can completely see how in high-end cards you'd want to get the jumper number, because it turns out to just be a one of one. Like, even if it's out of 400, say it's the Dusty draft pick signature, it's out of 400, but if you got number 4, then that's just a one of one card. You could pretty much market it for whatever price you want, and people will have just huge demand. I completely understand the jumper number thing, and I think it's an awesome quirk of the AFL footy card community. I've already gone over the day costs, but I just had one more individual card before I take a quick look at the box sales this week as well, and that one's Erin Phillips. So this is the first AFLW card I've looked at, but Erin Phillips is pretty much the accepted GOAT of women's football so far. Obviously, it only started in 2017, I think, and that's when these cards are from. But I think in the future, when women's football gets even bigger, people will look back and go, wow, that's a pretty historic moment that they were creating cards in the first season of AFLW. It's almost like an ultra rookie kind of card, because not only was it her first season, it was the first season of the competition itself. So I think it has immense collectability, and her just being such a dominant player, especially in those early years, I think her card holds a lot of value. And I would be looking at buying this Adelaide Crows set, because I know she's included in that. I think $20 is a really good price. And I don't think you'll see many of them pop up. I'll be looking for them. And I think what popped into my mind when I saw this as well is like, this is a very gradable card. And I'm not huge on AFL grading. Like, I understand I'll probably make another video on what cards I think are good for grading, but this is a perfect example because it's low value, like low dollar value, so you don't have to risk if the grader becomes a bit untrusted in the future, or you have to crack out the case. You're not going to be annoyed because it's not a huge value card, and you're not wasting much money. But that's number one, and number two, it's a very significant card. So those are the two things I look at when I'd say deciding whether to grade a card or not, and this one has both. So yeah, that's my last single card. I'm just going to go quickly through the box sales, the interesting box sales this week. And there was a Dominance box, 2020 Dominance box that sold for $400. Now, I'm not I kind of feel like I hate too much on modern footy cards, but these Dominance releases are incredibly strong. How I was talking about the 2021 Select Prestige, the Footy Stars Prestige in my last video, the Select didn't have to put that much value in these Dominance boxes, and there's a reason they're selling for this price. I think once people get used to paying well above retail for boxes, they'll realise even at this price, it's not a horrible buy for the cards you can get within. And the next one is more my style. This is 2010 Prestige, Select Prestige. This is my personal favourite. And I think my next video will be going through why I like this set so much and why I think it has growth potential. But yeah, this one sold for $280, and I think one of these will start selling every couple of weeks until they're fully sold out. I'm not sure, this is from Card Zone I think, but I'm not sure how much stock they have, but surely they can't have too much stock left. And once this sells out, I think it's going to grow quite steadily from there again. So that's the end of my eBay expeditions this week. Just a quick shout out to Warriors Son 1966, who's been commenting on all my videos. I really appreciate it, and yeah, just wanted to give him a shout out. And also shout out to Oz Card Trader. It's a pretty cool footy card community, and it's just a bit different. I like Facebook groups as well, but I also like checking Oz Card Trader. So appreciate the support from everyone at the moment. I'll see you next time.